Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
And I'm Brian Mix.
We have Brian here. We have a very busy show with a lot of cool stuff. So as we record this, we'll tell you the date, February 15th, the Kickstarter to land the shuttle Galileo at Ticonderoga at the official Star Trek set tour has launched a day ago. So it's about a week in as you listen to this. So we're going to dig into all of that. Brian's going to take us through all the Kickstarter. We also have a special guest, Adam Schneider, who is the person who, way back in 2013, bought the Shuttlecraft Galileo at an auction, had it restored, and then donated to the Houston, and then it made its way. We'll hear all about that, but he's great. He's a big Star Trek fan. He's a big collector. He's totally did a lot of stuff that we all wish we could do, and just awesome stuff. So we'll get into him. But, you know, like I said, it's busy. So before we get started with the Kickstarter and with the Adam interview, let's go Fanboy Collectibles. Unfortunately, these are Star Wars things, but they're still very cool. There is Hot Toys quarter scale Han Solo. Now let me ask you, Barry, you probably know this. Has Hot Toys done quarter scale much?
They have done a quarter scale Boba Fett and a quarter scale Vader and some Batman stuff, but
Terminator.
Not a ton.
Yep.
Not a ton of quarter. Yeah, they did a quarter scale Terminator, but not a ton.
Indy? Didn't they do a quarter scale Indy?
I don't know.
That was
I don't
Sideshow,
remember that.
I think. Anyway, there is a Hot Toys quarter scale Han Solo. That's awesome. There also is a Sideshow premium format, which is sort of statue / figure because it's got cloth
It's
clothes.
like mixed media, right? It's
mixed media.
It's also quarter scale, so there's sort of dueling quarter scale Han Solos, but one's in an environment and one's a figure.
Yeah, he's in the cantina right before he shoots Greedo.
That's just before he shoots Greedo.
He does shoot Greedo. Sorry,
He's got the hand up in the air to distract Greedo as he's about to shoot him.
and he's going to blast him. But they got that stuff and tons of other Hot Toys and Sideshow and Pops and plenty of Star Trek stuff. We're talking Star Trek. I'm sure there's Star Trek stuff, but statues, all kinds of stuff. So check
And there's
those.
a Rexplode Funko Pop in stock right now if you're an Invincible fan.
Oh, I didn't know what that was, but okay. So check them out, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut, and tell them the Regular Joe sent you. Okay, so Brian, tell us all about the Kickstarter. We've teased it a little on the show, but it's launched. What's the dealio?
And we know you've been working on this behind the scenes for a long time. It's finally out there, and people can finally back it.
It's been a full-time job. It really has. Kickstarter will eat your life. So we're building a building for the Galileo Shuttlecraft. I've talked about that before. We put a really good Kickstarter together with a lot of really cool items for pledgers. Designed by people who worked on Star Trek, Denise and Mike Okuda and Darren Dockerman and Doug Drexler have all contributed to it, and it's going really well. I mean, I expect by the time this airs, we'll be funded at $100,000, and we'll be going into our stretch goals, which are really important because the $100,000 builds a box to put the shuttle in and get it out of the rain, but we have to still build an interior inside to make it look like a real shuttle bay, and that. Doug Drexler and Darren have stepped forward. They're donating their time. They will design it. We'll help you guys put it in so it'll look really great. So their designs are free, but we still have to build the inside of the shuttle bay. Dave, you came up before the overlook that looks down under a shuttle bay.
The observation platform.
The observation deck. I'm really excited about the observation deck because they showed the deck on Star Trek, and Kirk points down at a window and goes, "There's the Shuttlecraft bay right there." But they couldn't afford to show
They haven't built it yet. Yep.
It was a little tiny model, and they didn't have the money to do the shuttle bay. So we want to build a interactive adventure. So when you walk through this, you look down the windows, you'll see the shuttles going in and out of the shuttle bay, and then from there you'll walk right into the hangar where the shuttle will be.
And then video wall too, right? Is that
video? That's the very furthest stretch goal, is to put like a volume wall behind the shuttlecraft, so it'll look like we could have shuttles taking off behind it.
That would be awesome.
In space,
Yeah.
we have it landed on a planet. Yeah, that's
So
a very far stretch goal. But
that's the point. Even though you see it's funded, still pledge. There's so many other cool things that can be done with all the stretch goals.
The private dinners with William Shatner, and when we say private, we mean private. It's going to be 10 people at the table, and Bill, and you can talk about whatever you want over dinner and dessert, and dinners with other stars coming. When Bill sells out, we'll bring more up. There'll be plenty of other things added on as we go. I don't know how many things will be there by the time this airs, but we have other really interesting things, artwork and artifacts that'll be coming up for pledgers to try to get our stretch goals and get the shuttle bay of our dreams.
Well,
Yeah.
and we know that so many of the people that listen to our show are collectors of stuff, and there's some really awesome stuff you can get. Just even if you can't go to Ticonderoga or you have never gone, you can pledge, you can back this, and you can actually get some really cool Star Trek stuff.
You can get an actual piece of the shuttlecraft.
There you go.
In this great display that I had made at this place called From Dave's Workshop.
There you go. So yeah, I'm contributing too. Or
Yours
working,
won't say
but
sample on it. Just
Yeah,
so you
yours
know.
won't say
Yours
sample.
won't say
Yours
sample.
will have an actual piece of the shuttlecraft.
that's a piece of
inside it.
wood from my house. But I'll be happy to sell that to you for $5.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a lot of cool, as collectors, as much as everyone loves the shuttlecraft and they want to see it, you want your stuff. But there are custom designed hats and t-shirts and pins and glasses and a
Patches.
patch by the Okudas, for every level. There, I think the levels that you get stuff start at $50 and go up into the higher, but there's a lot of cool stuff to get. And
there's a one of the most popular things is actually surprised about is the plaque that Dave's going to be helping with as well. Is we're going to have a gold dedication plaque that's going to go on the wall. This is going to list Adam, who's coming up, and Gene Roddenberry, the people who helped construct the shuttle. And then underneath that is going to be the officers. And when I say officers, I mean the people who are at officer rank in our tiers on our Kickstarter. They all have all of our tiers for the attendees have officer ranks. All the officers go on the gold plate. But there's a crew member tier, and your name is going to go on the Wall of Fame or the Heroes plaque right underneath that. So if you could have your name permanently emblazoned on the wall in the shuttle bay for pledging to this Kickstarter, and I should say that your name goes on the wall in the order you pledge. So the earlier you get in, the higher up on the list you're going to be.
no alphabetical order here.
No, it's order of pledge, and anyone who pledges, whether you're on the Wall of Fame or on the plaque, will get a gold plaque with your name on it. Even if you're on the last person to bid for the Wall of Fame, you'll get a gold plaque with your name on it. Thanks to Dave
And others.
from Dave's
And
Workshop.
others too,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, and others. There'll be other names on it too. Yeah.
We'll probably do batches of 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your name will
So-
be there, and you can display that in your home.
Exactly.
It's
So-
easy to do. I just did it while you were talking, Brian. So
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Kickstarter makes it easy, and this is a very worthy Kickstarter program. Like,
Yeah.
I watched a few of the other interviews that Adam's done over the years, and he talks about how it's like the largest Star Trek prop, but it is. I mean, the fact that it still exists and has been restored and probably looks better now than it even looked on set back in the 60s, like
Probably.
that needs
Yeah,
a
he
home.
did a lot. You'll hear it in a few minutes. He did quite an intensive restoration, and it needed it. But yeah, it looks awesome. We've seen it. We saw it about 10 years ago. It looks awesome.
If you've never been to Ticonderoga and the Star Trek set tours, we've talked about it many times. That
Yes.
It's a must go to. But the September event with the Galileo is going to be really a must go to, because when you stand next to this thing, it is huge. It's the size of a semi truck. It is so big, and it leaves a real impression when you're right up against it. It'll be great.
And even
see
if
it.
you've
Yeah,
been to the set tours before, I keep seeing the things that James is posting. They continue to tweak it and make it more and more and more accurate. So
Yes.
even if you've been there before, it's worth making another trip up, and September would be the best time to do it because
And
it's the unveiling of the shuttle.
Quickly, that story is a gentleman who works for Roddenberry, the Roddenberry Archive, is building walk 3D goggle walkthrough of every starship. And he's starting with the TOS ship. And he walked down the hallway and he went, "This doesn't feel right." And he goes to James and he goes, "I think the orange walls should be higher." James is like, "No, we have blueprints right here. It says this is how they went." It's like, yes, but then he took out his pictures and all of his references. It's like, sure enough, they must have built the set up a camera, and went, "Oh, we can still see the lights. Raise it 3 feet."
That wasn't on the plan, yeah.
Wasn't on the plan, or it was updated, never got to the plans. James just rose the entire hallway of the Enterprise 3 feet.
Oh, wow.
And changed all the crossover boxes because they found out they were backlit, not frontlit, so he re-backlit them. And you walk in
always
and go,
doing work.
"Oh yeah, I can see it now." You really, even though it seems like a little thing, you can really feel it when you walk in there and see the new lights in the new hallway. It's great.
When we were fighting in the hallway, I didn't notice it, but it's awesome that it's happening.
Yeah.
Staged fighting. Let's be clear.
Yeah, stage in
Well,
stop motion.
Some of us, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So go to Kickstarter.com, look up, just do a search for Galileo. It will come right up. There's links. We'll have links on our Instagram, Facebook. There'll be links everywhere, but it's as simple as going to Kickstarter.com and going to Galileo.
And there's a Facebook group as well, right, Brian? There's a Facebook page.
There's a Galileo 7 Facebook group as well that we post in every day.
And I can tell you, if you just Google Galileo Kickstarter, it's the first thing that comes up immediately.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So it's easy to get to. So please, we want all our listeners, watchers, viewers, please support at whatever level you can. And we'll all be there in September. If you're making the
come out
trek,
and see the Joes. Yeah.
let us know. We'll do something. I don't know what we're doing. It's a long time, but I'm saying we should do.
It might be time for another patch. Who knows? We'll see.
No, we'll give them out. But that's a good. Yeah, but maybe we'll record up there, or we'll do something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We'll do all kinds of stuff. So we got time to figure that out. But let's go. Just sat down with Adam Schneider, basically the guy who made all of this possible, and he's got a lot of interesting stuff to say. So here is Adam. We are here with Adam Schneider, collector, Star Trek fan, the person who restored the Galileo shuttlecraft. And, obviously with the Kickstarter going on, it was a great time to have Adam on and hear all about his varied interests and how it all happened and everything. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
For sure. So Brian, as we know, is heading up along with a couple other people the Kickstarter, and he's working feverishly. It launched, as you listened to this, about a week ago. So how you guys, you've been interacting because you did the original restoration of the Galileo, correct?
Adam, why don't you start with who you got it from and what condition it was in when you received it? Let's start there.
So let me give the history. The prop, of course, had not a lot of use after 1969 for television, and it went through multiple owners, and it went through multiple various versions of restoration. Some more attentive and some more cosmetic. There were multiple owners, and all these owners wanted to do right by Galileo. Nobody buys a 24 feet long, 7 feet tall, 10 feet, 12 feet wide, 1,000-pound thing to not do right by it. That was all for the love of it all. But Galileo more or less disappeared from the radar from the mid-1990s until 2012, when it magically came up for auction in Ohio. And I went out to look at it and examine it prior to having any interest in bidding on it. And the poor girl was not in great shape. In fact, it was kind of in terrible shape. It had clearly been outdoors. There had been animals living within.
Oh, boy.
The metal infrastructure was savable. The nacelles, the metal, the thing that holds it up, the interior, or called an armature, the wood was, essentially paneling from 1966 that had been outdoors for 40-ish years. and also stored in boat yards and other places, indoors and outdoors. And it truly was not savable. So we had a hard decision, well, whether to do anything with it, because it was not mine, it was at an auction. And then when when we did decide to go for it, what to actually do to restore it, what to keep and what to fix and what to replace. So roughly speaking, terrible condition. And there are some wonderful photos of that time that kind of describe it in more detail.
Is it fair to say that, and the way you described it, it is very large, and it went through a number of hands. Is it fair to say that a lot of people maybe bit off more than they could chew, thinking that they could restore it, and it wasn't until you really got it and did it right that it finally came back to life?
I think everyone had great intentions. I think it's really hard and really expensive and really difficult to do something of that magnitude. It would have been far easier to rebuild it than to restore it, for example.
And then knowing who could do it. What made you, cause you brought it to like a shipbuilder, what made you decide to bring it to a shipbuilder?
Well, that's the wrong question. The first question is, why do we buy the damn thing to begin
Well,
with?
that's you bought it. So we all know that. Why? Because it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yes. As someone who is married, it was a more difficult decision than it was cool.
Yeah, we all know that.
I fell into the Christie's auction in 2006 in Rockefeller Center, where they were selling all the toys. And I just fell in because it was a Sunday where I had nothing to do, and there was the auction preview. And they had many Trek miniatures that we're all familiar with out for auction. And I was just floored. Like, there was the Enterprise A, and there was Deep Space Nine, and there was this, and there was that. And through the auction, I bought a number of miniatures and began to, with my wife, get them home, restore them, relight them, remount them, and we built a Star Trek museum out of the miniatures and other things we got, for secondary sources, but original screen-used items. So 6 years later or so, Galileo comes for auction, and we knew the history. This didn't happen and this didn't happen as well as we all want. Again, good intentions, but you could see that the execution wasn't there. And I just said to my wife, someone has to go bite this bullet. We bought it at auction. We had no plan for what to do.
Okay.
None at all. I mean, to fix it, yes, but we had no second sentence beyond it will get fixed. If I can name the name, one of the other Star Trek mavens and collectors, Anthony Sforza, suggested going to a boatyard, shipyard type of thing. And because the structure of Galileo is actually much more akin to a wooden boat than it is to a car.
Yeah.
There's no engine, there's no wheels, there's no warp drive, there's no impulse. All that stuff was stripped along the way.
Yeah.
So we found a boat builder conveniently near us at our New Jersey home on the shore. And they were delighted to take and try to fix Galileo. They fix ships and boats in general. And to quote Hans, who did the serious work, it doesn't have to float, it doesn't have to fly, bring it in.
Yeah.
And with that, the adventure began.
So I've got to ask, because you say you fell into the Christie's auction, but
Yes.
prior to that, were you already collecting Star Trek memorabilia, or was that the first time you thought about buying Star Trek memorabilia?
My brother is a major collector of Warner Brothers animation. Bugs Bunny, 30s, 40s, all the good stuff. I collected dust. I had no other collection.
You weren't collecting
Really?
at all prior to
So
that.
you weren't a collector before buying 10-foot long model miniatures. Wow.
That is
When
very
you fall
late.
hard, you
That is-
fall
that's
hard.
Yeah,
very
I'm
late.
impressed because that's always, we talk to a lot of collectors on the show, and it's like, where'd you start? Everyone, it's either baseball cards or comic books or whatever.
There's a gateway drug usually. It's not usually
Yeah.
just
G.I. Joe's.
It's not that I didn't have baseball cards when I was 5, and it's not that I didn't have comic books when I was 5, but I was not a collector in anyone's definition.
And so, what was Star Trek to you in your life, or even as in 2006? Was it, you a huge fan, or is that just like it sparked when you realized they were selling these things?
Listen, I'm a science nerd. I'm a techie nerd. When all is said and done, I went to MIT. I'm kind of in the gene pool. I watched the show. I'm old enough. I watched the first run. right? First run, first shot, when that's all there was. Well, there was Lost in Space too, but we don't talk about that as much.
We do. We do. And if you look in the background of Brian's
I
picture,
know
we
what Brian
certainly
has.
do.
I know what that ship is. I've already told him I want it.
Yeah.
There's a Robbie.
So-
There's a B9 in that room somewhere too, isn't there?
Yeah.
Right.
There are things all over, as well as Robbie the robot, who I saw at auction, by the way. But that's a
We
long
did
story.
too. Yeah, we
we
went
did
down
too
to
at
that one.
Bonhams. Yeah.
You went to the Bottoms, right?
Yep.
So the city, the history was, I always loved the sci-fi. I always was interested in the thing. I was the science nerdy person, not that I did that professionally. And literally they said, oh, there's a Star Trek auction you should go see. And by an accident of scheduling, I was solo. And so I had time to go through and see all of the things. And I was like, I had frankly no interest in, say, the costumes. I figured this is clothing. I don't
Yeah.
care. I can go to TJ Maxx and get clothing. I had a little interest in the phaser and whatever. But the miniatures, I had never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Absolutely never seen anything like it. It's like,
And
oh my
were you
God,
a
that's the
model
thing that was on the
maker? Did
TV
you build
screen.
models as a kid, or did that interest you, or is it? I'm just trying to get from how you go from not collecting anything into some of the most amazing Star Trek artifacts.
It was a chick imprinting on me. That was all. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have that or some version of that.
That's amazing. It's great.
Was
And-
that stuff being auctioned by Paramount at the time, or
Yes.
was it? Yeah.
CBS
Interesting.
Paramount, whoever it was then.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the
Studio
big,
auction.
That
And
was
then
the
they
big
kept
one,
going for a couple of years, weekly auctions of all kinds of things.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we were playing with
it-
GI Joes. See, this is where we
Dave. Yeah, we
dropped the ball.
Well, listen, I think economically, it's a great way to spend money. Value. The thing that really occurred to me, I said, listen, these are very rare. There they are.
Yeah.
They're custom statues, handmade for a specific purpose. There aren't hundreds of uniforms. There's one model.
Yeah.
And often they would turn it upside down and reuse it the next time.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
There's one model. So I viewed it as a rare, custom, and because of CGI, no longer being made.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'll get into that. That caught my attention. I mean, I think the costume world and the phaser and the prop world is much bigger because there are so many opportunities to partake. But the model spoke to me, and because the model spoke to me, we met some of the ILM guys, and we met some of the people who were capable of doing the restoration, and we hired them to do, because I do nothing, I just get things done, get the restoration, get the models on display, relit and remounted for viewing pleasure. And in that context, along comes this giant model that you could walk into that needed loving and attention. So we just kind of signed up, good or bad.
No, that's great. So at the time, I know we've watched some of the videos. There was a Reels show, and then you had some on a channel that you have. So you had, at the time, this all I guess came from the Christie. You had the Enterprise E, and the A in Space Dock, right? And you mentioned Deep Space Nine.
Not all is screen use. The E came after Christie's from the guy who bought it from Christie's a couple years later.
Okay.
Okay.
The A was a brick price, the version that was before the motion picture, and I paid to convert it to look like an A.
Oh,
It was
nice.
not, not
Okay.
screen.
That was
That was a
phase two?
phase two.
That's a phase 2 ship.
That's
that
awesome.
was found on eBay because it was being auctioned because if somebody didn't pay their auction bill. Their warehouse bill.
Storage bill, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a brick price. But I wanted something in the space dock. I mean, the dry dock looked like a sauna or tanning salon without a spaceship in it. So we had a spaceship in it.
Oh, and the
It
Space
wasn't
Dock.
quite the right scale, but it looked gorgeous.
Oh, the Space Dock came from the Christie's auction.
The space dock from Christie's was in the Generations configuration.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So that's shorter and less tall with different bezels.
Yep.
So we found the original bezels and refound the original pieces and remade it to look like and be the original piece.
Oh, wow.
And added in the little bicycle lamp and all the other stuff that were there. That's all stuff that was added after Christie's. Christie's only had, they only had what Studio had, which was the Generations version. Look at the two pieces. You'd say they're completely different. They're that the top piece, which holds everything, was exactly the same. Mispainted, but all the same.
Yeah. It
So
could
what's
have.
interesting to me, part of what's interesting about all this is you became a collector, and through that, pretty much an expert on this stuff, all through, buying it and working with people to get it restored and displayed. Like usually the people that I've met that are that deep in, they do it over the course of years, and it's not a crash course, but it sounds like you kind of had to get a
Only
crash
because
course.
Christie's threw it out all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I ended up being very friendly with the ILM guys. I ended up helping, obviously, Galileo. I ended up helping Smithsonian to restore the original, God bless it.
Yeah.
And I got friendly with some of the, John, Greg, and all the people who were, kind of the core folks who had things. And I was a source of, a source of buying power when all was said and done. And because we restored them, people kind of got the joke that they would stay in a good home.
So many of these were really built to last. They were built for the moment, for use in the moment. What was obviously not the Galileo, but what was the biggest project that you faced otherwise of your acquisitions? What needed the most work?
Dry dock is one, and we just talked through that because that was a complete fiasco at some level. You're talking a 400-pound model that gets suspended from the top. It needed 9 neon transformers and additional power routed because we were using the original neon bulbs that were inside. Wow. We're not LED.
No
at least
LEDs
at that time.
And what's the approximate size on that space dock? It's gigantic.
12 feet across, 5 feet wide, 4 or 5 feet tall, and it's got to be hung from some version of the ceiling.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, and hundreds of pounds because it's from 1978 to 1979. The most extensive mod we really did, which was very a lot of people would question this. Christie's had two Deep Space Nine. They had the full bore original, and they had the partial. The partial was the semicircle. You could put a camera in the middle and have the ships coming at it.
Oh, yeah.
So there was no middle, and it was about 2/3 of the circle. We rebuilt it so it was the full thing.
Oh, wow.
Right. Which again, I simply get it done. We rebuilt it to have the entire. If you see it in reels, it's gorgeous and it's quite faithful to the original. But only the 2/3 arc is actually original.
Oh, that's really. I
would say that would be second to dry dock in terms of what had happened.
And
but all of them needed some degree to get them to relight, have a stable power source, have switching, have mounting, and have it be something where you could kind of none of these things you could leave on forever. These are show it lit and turn it off.
They'd melt.
They all needed energy and time.
Yeah. Did you send them someplace? You bought them and sent them someplace to have
Depends
restoration?
on the size.
Yeah.
Many of them were work done in the house.
Oh, wow.
Some of them were sent out. Depends on the size.
In your house? People come to your house to do. That's fun.
At times, sleeping over.
So part of your house became a dry dock, in effect.
Yeah. Dry dock was a garage spot.
Museum and a workshop, it sounds like.
Yeah. Amazing.
Terrific.
It became, listen, we used to run Star Trek parties. We'd have folks over. I had clips of what you saw on the show and what the model was so they could see. You folks would know what the dry dock is. They would wonder what the hell is this thing and why was it important in the movie. Then you see an 8-minute clip of them flying around the thing in various things. You say, okay, I get why it's relevant and important. And we'd have 20 or 30 people over and run parties and enjoy them. I mean, all you can do is they don't float, they don't fly. All you can do is look at them.
Yeah.
So they're there to be interesting and to be visual.
So I know that from the time you acquired a lot of these things till now, you have relocated. Do you have all of this stuff now still on display, or?
Sadly, no.
No.
Sadly, no. We went from a series of houses to a 1-bedroom apartment in Manhattan. Dry dock did not make the thing.
Yeah.
In fact, in fairness, Dry Dock was destroyed in the Eaton fire out in California last year.
Hard to hear that.
Really? Oh, that's a
Well,
shame.
that's the guy who lost his house is more sorry. So,
Yes, I know. There's much worse than that.
let's get
for
to
sure.
reality.
Yeah.
Reality is
True.
more important.
No, it's just, yeah.
True.
But no, we found good homes, kept a number of items, and in fact, we in the last year or so bought a house in Florida, and we're reconditioning it so that what is survives can reappear over here, which is the next stage.
Oh, nice.
This is a little bit like Sophie's Choice, but do you have a favorite in the collection that you retained?
Well, Galileo. I mean, you can't. The thing about Galileo is we didn't know what to do with it either in terms of fixing it or after, because there was no place to put it after either.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and leaving it outdoors, that failed, and shoving it in a storage or a boatyard or whatever it would be didn't do any value. So the original thought was, can we donate to some version of an air and space museum? Someone must want this.
Yeah.
And of course, the first call was the Smithsonian.
Sure.
Because of course they said no, because they want, the main one, not the second one. Just as you would expect. They want the Enterprise, not the auxiliary crest. So we approached almost every air and space museum we could think of. I was very close with the U.S. Air Force Museum in Ohio. And then they called up and said, well, we don't think it's Air Force. We can't do it. I said, it will be. You're not thinking more broadly. So, but they were very polite. And finally, Space Center Houston, which is NASA's visitor center at Johnson Space Center in Houston, said yes. And, NASA can have it. That was all to the good. You can't argue with NASA having a space shuttle. It's at some level, it's pretty hysterical.
Yeah.
Well,
We
back in
saw
2016,
on the
Dave
on the
Todd and I
Intrepid.
saw it on the Intrepid, right
Right.
next to the Enterprise.
So it went to
space shuttle.
NASA in 2013, was on display. Still takes a lot of land, and it's a natural kid climbing toy. So it's a pain in the neck for them to manage through. And the more formal displays, the Apollo capsule, they have an Apollo, a Gemini, a Mercury, and a LEM. I mean, this has the very serious artifacts. This is a Star Trek toy. So Intrepid wanted it for the 50th anniversary in 2016, and Space Center and Intrepid did that all by themselves. But yes, it was next to the Space Shuttle Enterprise.
What? Right.
In a position of honor, I thought. I thought that was a wonderful tribute to the importance of the peace. And the fact that they could, get it next to the Enterprise I thought was a tremendous honor.
They kind of had a cage around it too to keep the kids off it, so that was good.
The cage was they had it for a previous exhibit for the Hubble Space Telescope.
Ah, okay.
So I met the curator in this context, and they had the cage, so they said that they could keep kids off it in some direction.
Although Todd managed to climb on it,
I did
we
climb
know
through
that.
the bars, but still, it's like
We
pulled
and
me
there's
off.
still a warrant out for your arrest now.
Exactly.
The cage was a cool idea, but I will say this: it made it very hard to take pictures.
yeah.
There was no good
I
angle.
have what I have. I have some good shots.
Yeah.
Because it's a very. If you go through the criterion for a space shuttle going somewhere, there's no reason for a space shuttle to be in New York except that it's New York.
Yeah.
New York had nothing to do with it. It certainly had nothing to do with Intrepid. Intrepid was literally there at the time the space shuttles were flying. It wasn't doing anything relevant to the shuttle, maybe the earlier space program. So they have very little space. It's on the hangar deck. And they had to build a building around it.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of issues in Hurricane Sandy, which is another long story. So there was very little space to get a good photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
We
was great
managed
to
get
see it,
some.
though. And
it was good.
I was going through my photos today just to refresh my memory, and we do have one great shot of the Galileo, and you can see the name Enterprise on the space shuttle.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see it in
Oh, I
that
have that
context.
shot. I can update you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so we did get to see it there, but we're all really looking forward to getting to see it up in Ticonderoga.
Well, so Houston took it back, and there was on and off display for a while, but that's the nature of museums. It's on and off, and they reconfigured and did their things. And eventually, I helped broker it to be lent over to the tour in Ticonderoga. because if there's one place that you would want it to go, it probably is the licensed official Star Trek tour. And, as I think is going on right now, of course, no one has space for it without thinking about it. Building an appropriate facility, shuttle bay, call it, is the current the current set of things going on.
Yeah, the beautiful part about the tour is there's always a tour guide with the people, so we don't have to put up a rope, we don't have to put up a cage. You can get your shot and get the whole thing without anything in front of it, because there'll be a tour guide right there to go, don't touch it, kids, stay off of it. This is a museum, respect it. So it's you'll be able to get your pictures for sure when we get it built in there.
Well, that's one of the nice things about the set tour in general is that you're not looking at everything from behind a rope. You're actually walking through it and engaging with it. And I think that'll be great for the shuttle too.
Yeah.
So this T-shirt,
Ah,
okay, Dave made these T-shirts for us, okay? That is from a picture that we took of the nose of the Galileo. So that is actually that's where we got that.
And then I brought it into a program to cut it out. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. So that's
I love it.
That's actually made right from the logo on the ship.
So just to focus back on the restoration, we looked high and low for plans, as-built plans, original specification plans, anything. I talked to Gene Winfield. We did all the heritage work we could go do for anyone that is known. We have never found a darn thing in terms of any original plan. Now, we found lots of fan plans when all was said and done.
Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of fan plans. And those were great because they tried to dimensionalize it. They tried to put it in context to people. Some people blew it up 30% so they could see it as it would actually be. But we had to fundamentally deal with the beast we had, which had already been modified many times. And the screen caps and detailed pictures, thank goodness HD was there, so we could roll through as many things as we could. And we fundamentally had to rely on their boat building skills to rebuild what we were seeing from the TV / pictures / back. There's a few backstage pictures. There's like 3 shots of the other side. Right?
Yeah,
so
it's true.
It's amazingly small. I mean, every now and then the internet will find a new one. This is 15 years ago when we had what we had. So we tried desperately to find any example of anything. And there's whole books about plans for the Galileo, and they're wonderful. We used every single one of them, but we just did our best to interpolate what we actually saw. One of the questions was like, what do the letters say? And if we could read it clearly, we were dead on, as best we could. If we couldn't read it clearly, well, we knew there was something there, so we did take artistic license around some of the less clear parts, simply on the basis of something had to be there, and there was no, in 2013, no obvious way to go figure out anything anymore. The original wood, we found the real paint colors by scraping through the oxidized layer and getting the original things, and we cross-matched that. You can't match the brand anymore, but we cross-matched it. Think of who the guys were to marine paint. So high quality marine paint that is designed to, not stuff for your house, but stuff that's a commercial grade. And we rebuilt the curved, kind of the butter dish thing, as Carl Tate says on top. We rebuilt the kind of the eyeball thing in the back where the back tapers. There's multiple layers of black translucent plastic back there, kind of ovals in and ovals out that we rebuilt again, just going off of what we could see because there was no remnant anymore.
Yeah.
We rebuilt the hatch, and Will Smith, who was well known in the TOS circles, supplied the interior box of the hatch, which gets all the little piping and all the stuff that is under the hood of the Galileo. In effect.
Interesting.
Now, Brian,
what was the
correct me
time
if I'm
frame?
wrong.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Dave. I was just going to say, if I remember the story correctly, didn't AMT get involved back in the 60s to build the actual...
built the shuttlecraft.
They built the shuttle in
AMT,
order to secure the licensing for the model kits, right?
Yeah, and then they went to car builder, this Gene Winfield, who's a car builder and Hollywood cars too, to actually oversee the building. It sounds like he had a lot to do with it.
This is how big AMT was in the 60s. They had their own car prototyping shop in Arizona that Gene Winfield helped him run. They would build full-size cars out of clay and scale them down to make their model kits.
Yep.
Really?
And yet the
Wow.
model
Yeah.
isn't accurate.
Yes.
Well, the
Well, here's
AMT
the-
model is way undersized.
here's the
No,
thing-
but
here's
I'm
the
saying
thing
it's-
about it.
Yeah.
Picky.
The bet that the AMT made, because AMT made the deal that they didn't want to pay Star Trek money for licensing. They said, tell you what, we'll build you a full-size shuttle, and we'll build the model of the Klingon ship. You send us the designs, we'll build them both in exchange for the rights to publish your model.
Yeah.
And then they waited
all the models.
6 more years before
yeah.
they actually put the shuttlecraft model out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted the Enterprise, and that was the deal
Yeah,
they made
exactly,
to get the
right,
Enterprise.
Yeah.
And they're still releasing that kit to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is awesome.
Best-selling kit of all time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a good bet. Risky bet, but it was a good
And at least on the video I watched, Gene Winfield said they had to build it in a month. Whether that's accurate or not, but that's
I'm sure.
that sounds like Hollywood. Yeah.
I'm
You know.
sure. No. I mean, the other thing that, as near as we can go tell, Studio painted it
Okay.
Oh, really? Interesting.
because they had to match the color of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
AMT
true.
would not have had at that moment in time.
Yeah. That's
So,
interesting.
and the pennants and a bunch of things like that. So it's our impression. I love a fax or an invoice, but
Yeah.
it's our impression. Studio painted it when all was said
Yeah.
and done.
And they did some of the lighting, I think he had said. How long was the restoration start to finish?
The auction was June of 2012. It was in the storage in Ohio in a boatyard. Then came the question of, well, it has to go straight to restore because we have no place to put it, and you don't want to move it twice.
Yeah.
That implies we had to learn what to do.
I give you I gotta stop you. I give you so much credit for buying it, not knowing where it's going or what you're doing with it. That's just amazing. That's just awesome. That's
Well,
what passion
thank you.
is about.
I'm not sure it's awesome or
Oh, it's
out of
crazy.
an adult mind.
But
Well, it's awesome with just the right amount of crazy.
So we ended up. It arrived in Master Shipwrights, Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, roughly October 22nd of 2012.
okay.
Hurricane Sandy hit 4 days later.
Ugh. Yeah.
The shop's on the water.
It's a boat
It
shop.
flooded. Galileo flooded. It didn't matter. It was already all terrible.
Yeah.
But at least you didn't
With
lose
seawater,
it.
by the way. It was
Yeah,
it didn't-
yeah,
it
that's
didn't-
a whole
it
nother
ultimately
story.
didn't matter. I mean, I have pictures that even are worse than the original state because literally 4 days after, I mean, this is Galileo. It gets destroyed at all times. This is just
Yeah.
the nature of the beast. So yes, the gods tried to destroy Galileo again, and then then it took them about 60, 90 days to get the shop back up because it did
Oh.
flood and they had to fix the shop and get rid of whatever, muriatic acid on all the tools.
Yeah.
I don't know what muriatic acid is, but that's what they needed. And then restoration effectively began Christmas time.
Okay.
And it was ready by mid-June 2013.
Wow. That's still long. Yeah, that's was
So
it and
now-
I saw there's the pictures of it in their shop. I guess they have able to move it in and out to do other work as well, I would imagine.
It had the parking spot.
Oh, it
By the
did.
way, Hurricane Sandy destroyed a lot of boats. So by having the parking spot, he couldn't do any other work.
Ugh,
Yeah.
Wow.
So we actually had the parking spot, and then all these other boats were needed to be dealt with. They were kept outdoors. I mean, boats are always outdoors.
Yeah, they're
They were
waterproof.
kept outdoors on stanchions.
Yeah,
and we had the
exactly.
parking spot. So yeah, it was moved outdoors later,
Yeah.
but it wasn't moved outdoors until roughly painting time. So near the end.
Wow.
Working without plans. Okay. What was the biggest challenge in terms of like recreating what or if you found something that was just surprising?
So the interior armature had rusted through and had to be repaired. So no one would know that, but you could figure out what went where
Yep.
when all was said and done. The impulse deck, if I can say it, on the back was probably the number 2 hardest thing because there are no good pictures. In fact, if you look hard at the pictures, you see the cameraman and the director.
Yeah.
If you look hard in the original source material. And we had to come up with something that we thought was what they would have done back in the day. It's no plans. And of course, the door which was the mechanism or again, there's too many generations. A version of a mechanism was there, but those were the original doors. They're heavy as could be. They're thick. That mechanism couldn't have held that door. So we had to pull out the mechanism, figure out some version of the to go through, obviously not automatically, and get that to go. I would say that impulse deck and the thing were the hardest part. That being said, almost all the wood, maybe all the wood is new.
Yeah.
So all of that is fresh plywood. There's a ton of other work required to get it back to stuff, all of which is matching it to the shapes and angles of the TV original.
Yeah, that's interesting. What? So I know the nacelles are made out of steel or some sort, right? What's the material that holds the nacelles to the ship? Is that aluminum? That may be a Brian question.
Maybe a Brian question.
It's
so
all
the
steel.
nacelles
It's
are
all
essentially
steel.
steel drums that taper,
Yeah.
and the only ones you'd want to step on are the ones by the door.
Oh, okay.
They get pretty. It'd be
No one should be
unbelievably
stepping
heavy
on
if they
them,
were.
though. By the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are unbelievably heavy, and they're steel tubes that are 3/16-inch thick steel tubes, and there's steel supports running up the arms, and there's all kinds of steel across the top where it plugs into the ship, and it's covered with fiberglass, but it's all steel structure.
All steel structure, all original, and restored, but all original. The other thing that most people don't know, and we couldn't figure out, but I think Brian figured out, is it had wheels.
Yeah.
So they could
That
move
makes
it onto the
sense.
set, move it
Yeah.
off the set. Because why would you? It doesn't float or fly, so they can roll.
And it weighed
And-
thousands of pounds.
So the
And
wheels
the,
are
uh,
in the nacelles, Brian?
Of course, it had wheels.
There's a whole
wheel structure was detached, and everything was messy by the time we got it. But in fact, it was rollable on and off the set. And if you look where the rocks are covering the ship, and the images you don't see, you'll kind of figure out where the wheels are.
Wheels.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah,
did you replace the wheels
No.
in the restoration? No.
No, we put pick points on top, so you could lift it up. That's how it got to Intrepid. So we built structure inside, so you could pick it up from a crane.
Okay.
The boat guys had a crane,
Yeah.
and we could crane it on and off the flatbeds that we used to do it, and we never needed to replace the wheels.
Got you.
And then a kind of a standard, a giant version of the big rolly thing you get from Home Depot could roll it around, and the nacelles always came separately, generally craned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think
Right.
forklift. It's just easier than what they were doing back in '66.
Yeah. Probably didn't have to go too far back then either.
Well, no. Once it was in the studio, they roll it in, roll it out, right?
Yeah,
And they have a week to roll it into whatever space they used for the shuttle bay, and then they use it for a couple of days of shooting, and then they got plenty of time to roll it out. So they had time. Whereas if you're trying to get it onto the Intrepid, you kind of want to get it on there and not have it be, a
Sure.
process.
Yeah.
I have pictures of it being craned up the Intrepid. It's hysterical.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like, look at this thing.
Yeah. Wow.
But
You
that's,
really
that's,
think about that.
That's how they move all the airplanes. So
Yeah,
they're
the
able to-
logistics
know
of
what they're
that
doing.
museum are crazy. Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. So you've, had stuff, you've let it go to new homes, and what do you collect now? What's your main focus? Big items, props?
So the promise I made to my wife was small, iconic items. If I'm going to do anything small, because we had these giant models, and by a dint of accident, I bought a new house 2 months before the Christie's auction. It was empty. I wasn't married at the time. And it was a 5-story townhome with an elevator. So a terrible configuration for models to go up and down. And literally the world's worst configuration. A lot of space, but not all vertically stacked. And, townhome. And I said, all right, I'll stick to small, iconic. I wasn't so good at the whole small, iconic thing. When all was
Sounds
said
like
and
it.
done. Yeah, she's a wonderful woman. So
Sounds very supportive, which is amazing, which is great.
to quote Mike Okuda, the most patient wife in the galaxy. So the thing that will shortly appear from the garage to the new shelving we just set up is back at the Greg Jean auction. I did get Botany Bay.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Very nice.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And Botany Bay is like, you kind of want a Botany Bay. It's kind of hard to argue with how important that piece is. And, you know, it's Botany Bay. It's like, it's one of the things I would have imagined, I never would have imagined having. It's like, oh my God. Recently there was an auction, as long as we're talking con, for the Genesis probe.
Yep.
And the Genesis probe disappeared for years and years and years and years and years, kind of like the Galileo thing, but it reappeared at auction. The background story is, you know, someone took it home. It's a giant space phallic symbol, and it blows up planets. So I guess it's kind of our kind of toy.
We just assume the Klingons got it.
Well, that's the next movie. So, so it's being repaired now. We're fixing it up now, and name a number of months it'll show up at our new place, and my wife will be wondering who she married, and we'll go figure it out from there.
And that had lights up and everything too, right? That has a whole bunch of.
There's many lights and many things and spinning things and all kinds of things going on in the Genesis probe. I really want the smoke effect.
I was going to just ask, are you going to do the smoke?
But I don't think we're going to have the smoke effect because we really don't want to either die from carbon dioxide poisoning or, you know, totally humidify the entire house. I think we're just not going to be able
It's a party trick. You get Brian, you can hook them up with a fogger, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Probably, yeah.
Yes, it's a party. Listen, let's get all the lighting to work appropriately.
Yeah.
It's in quite good shape.
It looked like it when I remember seeing the
Yeah, we
auction.
saw it in the
looking
auction
through
catalog. It looked like it held up pretty
catalog.
well.
It was surprising. So, you know, small, iconic, like an 8 foot tall, you know, weapon.
Because when they go home with somebody off set and they stay in one place, they tend to be in good shape. It's when they change hands a million times that they can get damaged along
I
the way.
think that's very fair. And I don't think that the guy worked, I believe, worked at the studio. He took home, I know a couple other items that I'm told they took home. And great, as far as I'm concerned, you know, how do you not get Genesis probe?
Yeah.
It's the basis of the second movie, and it's the reason for the third movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of the most iconic things when you when you think of Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Well, again, a little phaser is probably more valuable and more memorable and more important from science fiction history, and you can hold it, which is an enormous advantage. This thing is yet another giant, crazy thing that we have to go figure out. But that's our zip code, so we're okay.
But there's one. There's only ever going to
Yeah,
be one.
there's only
That's the
one.
one.
True.
There is definitely only one.
And at least it fits in a corner and doesn't take up an entire
It doesn't
garage.
take up that much space.
Yeah.
Well, now we got to figure out the case.
Yeah.
You know, the activation
Yeah, right.
buttons.
Yeah.
But
So practical or impractical, known to exist or not? Do you have a white whale? Is there something remaining out there that you would just love to get your hands on?
well, the 33-incher, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 33-incher, that was the white whale for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
Galileo was a white whale, but people
Yeah.
knew it existed.
Yeah.
The 33-incher just poofed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope and believe it gets to Roddenberry and maybe the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, that's out of my hands. You know, the other one, of course, is the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And because I knew the curator through the Galileo refusal, and they knew that I fixed all the models, I got to go help with the original Enterprise restoration of a couple of years ago, which was so much fun.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're in the room with arguably the most important model.
For
When
sure.
I forget which convention we were at. Maybe it was the Star Trek 50th. We went to a panel where the lead
The woman who was.
archivist
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
there
Margaret.
talking about the
Yes.
restoration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
And
fascinating.
it sounds like they went through a similar process with the paint, as you were saying, going down layers and trying to find the original color. And,
Well, there's a lot of issues with Enterprise because it also had multiple restorations,
Yeah.
some of which are not so much appreciated, but which structurally were very important.
Yeah.
So, you know, the first question is what's the structural status? And the second question was, are we, you know, doing the best it is so as it aged, or are we restoring it? That's a big decision for a Smithsonian.
True.
So, for example, at the same time they were doing Enterprise, they were doing the Spirit of St. Louis.
yep.
So if you look at the Spirit of St. Louis, it looks like it rolled off the assembly line. That's not a conservation. That's
Yeah.
a full restoration.
Yeah.
So we convinced them that they ought to restore Enterprise because of what they wanted to put it on the entryway, and it ought to be gorgeous and functional. The original thought was no lights, and I stuck my cell phone in with the flashlight on into the engineering hall, and Margaret went, "Ooh, so this is what you do to a model. Models light up. That
Yeah.
says it gives size, it gives scale. It looks like it's a thing, not a, rock." And that led to the decision to go spend the energy and the effort on that, and that led to ILM coming in to go do the detail work.
Oh, wow.
Who were extraordinary. And yeah, the paint color was drilled in with a microscopic hole to go find the actual paint color. Hey, I watched this thing. It was white. Okay, it was white. It was a white ship. It was on TV. It was white, but in the real world, it wasn't so white.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
And
I
it
got
was-
to see it, the restored ship on display, I assume it's still this way, but they have the lights come on for a short period
Once
of
an
time.
hour. Yeah.
And then they go
Yeah.
off, and then they come back. So seeing it lit up is spectacular.
It's spectacular, and that was part of the story. Listen, I'll quote a number that isn't mine to quote. It's in a big glass museum quality case with temperature, with humidity, with controls, with a screen that automatically comes down in the winter when the sunlight is at the wrong
Yeah.
angle and
Yeah.
when it hit by the sun. I wrote the words. That case cost $850,000. Okay, not the restoration.
Yeah.
Just the funky case. So they did her proud. They did a great job, and structurally now she's a sound. 50 more years I won't
Yeah.
be talking, but we'll be talking. Someone will be talking about what has to be done with it.
Yeah.
But it's about as structurally sound as you could be, given the 1964 origin of that model.
Yeah. And they've had it for I saw it when the museum opened as a kid in '76, and it was hanging
Hanging
up.
in the gift shop. Yep.
No,
Yeah.
that was later. It
was hanging in the Man in Space.
Man in
exhibit or something-
Space
something like that.
above on the top floor.
Above.
I saw it hanging in the gift shop when I was.
And then they pushed it in the gift shop, but they've had it for not that long after the show.
One more fun fact: if you go there, you will see the Enterprise. You see the original TV stand, and you'll see one of the original nacelles because they cut them off to put the lights on.
Yeah.
One of the original caps. I have the other cap,
Nice.
which looks like nothing. I mean, I want to be clear. My wife almost threw it out because it looked like a big paperweight, but it actually is the other nacelle cap, and it has absolutely no curb appeal. But in terms of what it is, it's pretty wild that it ended up in my.
There are not a lot of pieces of that floating in private collections. So
No.
Yeah, the pieces all look like this. This is the pieces you can collect of the Enterprise now.
exactly.
So you still collect things and you're getting stuff and you're setting up. Do you collect only Star Trek, or is there other stuff that you've collected currently?
95%.
Yeah.
95%. I'm a sci-fi guy. Star Trek is such an enormous history and enormous opportunities that it's more than enough when all is said and done. Have I collected other things? Sure, but it's 95% of it is Star Trek when all is said and done. Maybe 99.
Okay.
Simply because there's just been so much. And again, I fell into the Christie's auction when there was.
Yeah.
In fact, I would argue there was so much available that there wasn't enough fan money to properly value
Right.
it.
Yeah.
1,000 lots, Christie's. Not a lot of fans had Christie's. Accounts open
Right.
in 2006, and I didn't think there was. I think there wasn't that much fan money chasing this stuff at that point in time.
Well, we talked at when we first jumped on with you, we were saying how we were all G.I. Joe collectors. There was a G.I. Joe auction at Christie's in 1994 that was the first time I was ever in a real auction house, and same kind of thing. Like that collecting community did not know what Christie's was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and now it's become a bigger business.
Yep.
And clearly provenance is a continuous issue. And clearly, there's plenty of opportunity for fraud. One of the things that appealed to me about miniatures and models that is really hard to conduct a fraud on something that's been in studio hands,
True.
or miniatures in general, simply because they're hard to build.
Yeah.
And the way you would build it for studio is not the way you'd build it for your home. Studio has very, very, very different needs for lighting, for mounting, for power, for consistency, and they simply build it very, very differently than you would build it to just make a pretty copy. So it's not impossible, but it's a much easier provenance thing than, say, a uniform from 1966.
True.
There's also a known number of all those pieces, so it's either somewhere or it's not. And I think there's, very few of them that are not anywhere and not known. So I think
There's a lot of folklore
Yeah.
about the models, especially in the next generation era, where this model was this ship and it became that ship.
Yeah.
They've reworked. There's a lot of folklore. A lot of that folklore is not right.
really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go to Christie's. They sold the Enterprise C. No, they did not. That was not the Enterprise C. Right? They said it was. It was not. It was a different ship, same config, but it was not the similar config, not even same. But it was not the Enterprise C. Now, how it got labeled and who labeled it and were they right or were they wrong, and was it? You could go through 1,000 conversations thereafter. But factually, absolutely was not the Enterprise C. So, there's a lot of folklore about what happened that is based on supposition, basically by looking at pictures, as opposed to the actual thing that occurred.
What's amazing is you can still look up on the Christie's website, you can look up that auction and you can see what the prices were that item sold for then versus what you see similar items sell for now. And it's just it's a completely different
that's
hobby.
true in general in this space.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
space
for
has
sure.
exploded.
Yeah.
The big explosion was, it came over a while, but I don't remember the year, called 2015. One of my friends sold the Battlestar Galactica. The Battlestar. There are two.
Yeah.
And a number of auxiliary things. And that was the one that really, because it was and it wasn't 1,000 lots, that I think really redefined the price point for some of the major pieces. But, even the Kirk chair went for hundreds of thousands of dollars 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So, auctions are variable. There are definitely bargains at times, and there's definitely overpayment at times.
But X-Wings are selling for $3 million up now. So
Well,
X-Wing.
we're also getting
Which
decades past further down the line.
Yes.
And you're so
Listen, the general theory is you loved it when you were 10, you had money when you were 50, and when you're 80 and you're gone, there aren't any 50-year-olds anymore who loved it, and it may or may not retain the value.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that X-Wing won't retain the value.
Right.
It's priceless in my mind.
no, and
But,
we see that in a lot of hobbies. I mean, some more than others, but like we talked about G.I. Joe, like there was a
Right.
time in when all of our G.I. Joe collections were worth a lot more money than they would be worth now.
Right.
Certain things like comic books, you see ebbs and flows with that.
spikes,
Same with baseball cards.
baseball cards, same thing. It's like
Oh, I understand. So there's an error, there's a reality. Look at Bitcoin. It's worth half what it was
Right.
90 days ago.
But that's why
It's the same coin. I mean, it's not even
Right.
a question. It's
But
the
again,
same coin.
the things that you have, the things that you pursued, they're not making more of. There's not going
They're
to
not
be.
making more
You're
of
not going to
doesn't
find
mean
a
that people
warehouse.
want-
Not going to find a warehouse full of Deep Space Nine stations like they did certain baseball cards.
There's
Right.
8 other deep space stations somewhere.
Nobody wants Deep Space One, really. It's just,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, first of all, I agree with you, but the average fan who really is into it wants something that looks good,
Yeah.
and that's all there is to it. A 1/350th Enterprise from any one of the 2 or 3 or 4 vendors whose names are gorgeous, and that's collectors who love these things, and I have one, and this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? The screen used thing that it has any value is relatively new. And again, if I hadn't gone to Christie's that day and gone to see a movie, we wouldn't be having this podcast. It was just very serendipitous on my part, and then being somewhat, a little bit of temerity. Well, if we're going to go for one of these, let's see what else we can get.
Yeah.
That's why we
Well-
always say, for the most part, you have to collect things that
Yeah.
you love, and
You
whether
love.
they're,
It's not
they're
an
valuable
investment.
or not is a secondary
absolutely. Yeah.
discussion. You gotta have a passion for
It's
it.
about feeling.
You gotta love the item.
Yeah.
It's
On
the same
behalf
with
of
any art. You buy the art because you love it. You
Yeah.
don't have to buy the art because of
No,
you know
true.
there's money involved.
Yeah.
But if you're buying it for resale, in my mind, you're kind of getting the wrong joke. If I'm putting a picture on my wall, I love that picture.
Yeah.
That's all. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to it.
Right.
I was just going to say, on behalf of everyone who stood in front of the Galileo and been in awe, we are very glad you went to Christie's that day.
Yeah.
And we're
Well-
very appreciative of your effort in getting it restored, because everybody gets to enjoy it now, which is amazing.
It's truly incredible, and it's thrilling that a whole lot more people are going to be able to see it. And
We're very happy. The whole purpose of donating it to Houston was to enable people to see it, to associate with the space program, to frankly bring in more people to their facility, which actually worked really well. And the point of aiming it towards Ticonderoga, remember, it's still owned by Space Center,
yeah,
but this is a great home for the piece. And if you're going to associate with anything in the U.S., to my mind, there it is. That's the officially licensed tour, maintained by a wonderful guy who's also a lunatic about accuracy. Well, you
That's
can't
true.
get more accurate than the actual thing.
Yeah.
When all is said and done.
Yeah.
And, we absolutely had to take liberties in the restoration. You did not want to see the original one from 2012, 14 years later.
Yeah.
You'd be laughed out. Having it back, beautiful, structurally sound, in great shape, in a simulated shuttle bay.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't say anything more than that. We certainly look forward. Hopefully, we'll see you there in September if you're making the trek, as they say.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
Great. Looking forward to meeting you in
We'll
person.
be there too.
We'll be there.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not. I don't know that I'm making the 70th anniversary, but I'm going to do the 60th.
Well, Adam, we appreciate everything that you're passionate about, everything that you've done, and certainly taking some time to talk to us. We really appreciate it.
Happy to. Thank you all. I guess the official live long and prosper.
Live long and
And
prosper.
if I could speak to the listeners, it's on display in just a few months. Come on down.
Absolutely. So that was cool. Adam really did a lot to get this thing. We're all going to see it in September, so it was really awesome.
The story about the hurricane trying to destroy the Galileo again is hilarious.
everything that's been through, either on screen or off, it's just amazing that an act
Well,
of God
and
went after it.
having lived through Hurricane Sandy here on Long Island, it was bad. So, and I know Jersey got it just as bad or worse than we did. So,
Yeah.
good that it was indoors there and survived, and thankfully didn't get even more damage than it already
Lesser
was.
people would have given up, but they really
That's
did some.
determination. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
for
and,
sure.
and like Adam said, he's a guy that helps get things done. So
Yeah, for sure.
he got it done.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I started my week this week by getting a package from Dave's workshop.
oh,
Which was awesome. So
Really?
you made a plaque for my school, which is terrific. What else you got going on?
well, as Brian said, yeah, I'll be working on. I guess we'll wait for the Kickstarter. We'll be working on some plaques and some displays for the pieces of the shuttlecraft. I'm waiting. Someone's sending me something. Todd, I mentioned I'm working on something for Doom Patrol. And then what's the other guy? Oh, I'm working on something, a Hannibal Lecter mask. So I'll get into more of that when we get there. Yeah. But yeah, having fun and making money. No, I'm having fun.
You'll get there eventually.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's been a lot of fun. So, and yeah, I've been gearing up my X-Tool. If you want to sponsor us, send us a new one to cut out a ton of plaques and doing some tests. What's cool about the X-Tool software that's very unlike Glowforge, you could just run simulations of things on the software. It's not web-based, so it could be. How long will it take to cut this? They actually have a pretty good software. with their tools. So
That's
check
cool.
those guys out. Tell them the regular Joe sent you. And but if you need a placard display, FromDavesWorkshop.com. Check me out from davesworkshop@gmail.com. And yeah, let's do some stuff. All right. Well, we will be closely watching the Kickstarter. We'll definitely look to Instagram and Facebook. We'll have links, and by the time this gets posted, we may have different information that we'll share with Brian.
Like we said before, even if you go to the Kickstarter and you see that it says funded, that doesn't mean that they're done taking donations.
That's
so
for sure.
absolutely
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah.
They've got stretch goals, and every dollar they get is going to help make it an even better, cooler experience. So help land the shuttle.
And thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening and/or watching.
Thanks for pledging.
They're into movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.